Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome back to Let's Play AVGN Adventures. In the last part, we took care of Beat 'em and Eat 'em. So now, what's interesting about the rest of the game is, well, not really interesting, what's standard for a Mega Man style game is that you can basically do the rest of the levels in whatever order you want. You know, now that you've got all the characters, there's really no recommended order. So, I'm going to the Blizzard of Balls next, because this is really one of the easiest levels in the entire game. If you don't mind not having all of your characters, this is a good level to start off with just to get, I guess, eased into the whole thing, but especially when you have all three different characters. Well, I should say all four. When you have all three extra characters, you know, this level is really a cakewalk. I get through it in 5 minutes with only dying one time, so, you know, this is definitely one of the easier levels in the game, and yeah, also it's a snow level, and everybody knows that everyone loves snow levels, right? No? Okay. Although this game does actually break the one rule of ice and snow levels. Ice and snow levels are always the most irritating levels in the game, but they always have the best music. This level does neither of those things. It is not the most irritating level in the game, which, you know, is a good thing because I hate irritating levels. However, it also doesn't have the best track in the game. I mean, the snow music track is okay. Snow music track. That's kind of redundant. The snow levels song is okay, I guess. You know, it's not great. It's not fantastic, but it's not awful either. It's just a little bit repetitive. So, I think the problem with it is that it goes more Christmassy as opposed to serene, icy, which is usually when these ice tracks are usually the best. Because, you know, when the ice track goes for like really memorable serene icies, when it's usually the best. Now, this is an example of where I actually do use the Bullshit Man, and the Bullshit Man actually gets a lot of use from me in this level, because he's very good for making precision jumps like that, where you could make the jump as the nerd, you know. It's a relatively short distance, you could make it, but the platforms you're jumping on are relatively small, so, you know, it's just better and safer to use the Bullshit Man's double jump to make sure that you land on it rather than taking a chance as the nerd, or especially like the guitar guy or Mike, because the guitar guy doesn't handle slipperier than the nerd does, but the thing is that he moves so much faster that it's very easy to overshoot your jumps every once in a while, because you're used to moving someone who moves a fair bit slower than the guitar guy does. Especially when you've got to deal with ice physics, yes. This second half of the level does indeed have ice physics. Now, if you want to stop sliding, all you have to do is do a short jump, because this game does not have, like, well, there is some momentum programmed in, but for the most part, as long as you won't be going forward unless if you hold the forward button. So, you can take advantage of that in these ice levels in order to stop yourself from slipping and, you know, get yourself in the safe spot between traps, or aim yourself for an enemy attack or what that. Anyway, that was a cameo that I actually discovered during this playthrough, because this is the first time I actually had the Bullshit Man by the time I went to the Blizzard of Balls. So that was Angry Joe, who I don't think has ever done anything with the nerd, but is another video game reviewer that does stuff for that guy with the glasses if you haven't watched him. I'm not a big fan of his stuff, but, you know, it's nice to see him, I guess. Anyway, this section with the ladders is somewhat maze-like, but for the most part, you're just going to want to head up into the middle, because that's where this section is right here, which basically just leads you to the rest of the level. Those weird-shaped blocks right there will rise up whenever you stand on them, but only when you're standing on them. So if you want to go back down, you're going to have to jump a whole bunch, or just jump off the platform in general, I suppose. And there we get an well, I should say here now we have an interesting use of those blocks, because now we've got instant death spikes at the top, so you can't jump off of these platforms. You're better off just walking off of them, which is actually an interesting idea, I guess. You know, those platforms, that's basically the only time we ever see those platforms in the entire game, although, to be fair, you know, it's a kind of a simple concept, and I don't know where else they would be able to really do anything interesting with them, but what, holy shit, Santa! We killed Santa? Santa, no! Well, okay, he did kind of kill us, that fucking asshole. But still, this is kind of gruesome, isn't it? You know, surfing on his dead corpse with blood. That's just wrong, man. That's just wrong. I guess it's fitting that the achievement you get for reaching this point in the game is called Naughty List for Life. Yeah, I don't unlock any achievements in this playthrough, but there are a few that you can get, like there's one for there's a few that you get just by going across the game normally. There's one for like dying 100 times and 1,000 times, both of which I've gotten, you know, getting a certain amount of 1-ups or health recovery items. Nothing too special except for the ones for beating the super ridiculously hard difficulties, because I'm pretty sure that if you beat the hard mode of this game, you'll unlock like a you can only have one life mode, or you can only get hit once life mode, or something like that. Anyway, I completely neglected to talk about that boss, but it's relatively simple. You just need to dodge the ghosts in their spinning pattern, and then make sure that you stay out of their way for their shot when they blast at you. You can only hit them when they're all together though, so keep that in mind. It's not a terribly difficult boss fight, but it can be a little bit annoying. The thing is that I've had so much practice on that boss fight in the first two times I played this game that by the time I went to this third playthrough, you know, he was nothing. He is one of the more, well, I should say all three of those guys are one of the more easy bosses in the game. Although I'm surprised that they chose the ghosts of Christmas Past, Future, and Present, or whatever they called them in his Christmas Carol episode, because one of those guys was played by Handsome Tom, I think, and he's not a part of Screw Attack anymore, so, you know, I'm pretty sure they could get away with it because they were portraying a character and not the actor himself, but, you know, it's just interesting to think about that sort of stuff. Anyway, Boo! Haunted House is, I wouldn't say one of my favorite levels, but at least aesthetically, this level has a lot of, like, hidden references in it, because, like, those ghosts there are basically, I should say the cartoon ghosts are designed almost identically to the ghosts that you saw in the Ghostbusters video game, and the Ghostbusters, anything that references that Ghostbusters review gets automatic points for me, because the Ghostbusters trilogy, as I like to call it, is actually my favorite Nintendo video game nerd review, so it's nice to see that get some attention. Also, you know, just the reference to Boo Haunted House in general, because if there's one of the early, when it comes to like really early nerd stuff, and this is like before Screw Attack, the Halloween trifecta that he did of, I think it was Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and the Power Glove, you know, those are some of my favorite reviews of early nerd too, so, you know, it's just love seeing references to that sort of stuff. So anyway, yeah, the Bullshit Man gets a lot of use in this level. Well, not a lot, but he gets some pretty decent use in this level, because there are actually points in AVGN Adventures where you do want to have a shorter jump. Because, especially in this sort of area where the blocks will only be visible when you get close to them, you know, you're not ever really sure where there's going to be a skull block that'll kill you. Well, not like that, I got killed by the pumpkin, but you know what I mean. But you're never really sure where a skull block will pop up, so actually having a shorter jump arc is useful in a lot of situations, because you just want to be avoiding blocks as much as possible, because even if if there aren't any skull blocks in the, like, on the ceiling or something, you know, jumping into the ceiling also messes with your jump arc, which could easily drop you into a bottomless pit, or into another instant death trap, or into an enemy that will knock you into a bottomless pit or instant death trap, so, yeah. Anyway, you're going to want to use the Glitch Gremlin here, and I'm not sure if I talked about him before this, but the Glitch Gremlin stops all obstacles on the screen. They still hurt you, mind, but everything that's moving will just be frozen for the moment, so you're going to want to use him pretty much as soon as you see him. Well, as soon as you see him and you get a good vantage point here. Because this section right here can drain your lives if you don't take advantage of the Glitch Gremlin, or if you're trying to hold on to him for a later section. He is most useful there, so don't worry about like holding on to him or anything. Because chances are you'll probably mess up in this section coming up right here, and there's not really a whole lot of points where the Glitch Gremlin will be useful in this area, and oh crap, more collapsing blocks. See, this is what I was talking about, where the first time you're playing the game, you're not going to, there's no way to tell that those blocks are any different than the blocks that you were just on. You know, it's just one thing. It's just the one thing about this game that, I guess from the level design perspective, I should say, that irritates me is those collapsing blocks. If they had made it a slightly different shade of pink, or made them purple, or made them, like, cracked, I would not have an issue with them at all. But, you know, they had to look exactly like the blocks that we were just on, you know. It just, I kind of wonder why they did that, though, because in some of the levels they're visible, like in the The level we were just in, Blizzard of Balls, they were like pink when the collapsing blocks were pink there, and here, you know, they're just not any difference. I gotta wonder why they decided to do that, you know. So anyway, like here, the bullshit man gets a lot of use right here because you need to have slightly shorter jumps. That slightly shorter jumps make it easier. And also Mike Matei gets a lot of use here too because his lightsaber makes taking care of those bats pretty much, well, not a non-issue because you still need to be in the right place in order to adequately take them out. But, you know, it makes taking care of them a lot easier because you can just wait for them to come with you. You don't have to worry about trying to hit such a tiny target. You know, they'll generally just line themselves right up into your lightsaber slash. Well, I'm sure it's not actually a lightsaber. It's probably a Schmite saber, original weapon, do not steal, or something like that. But you know what I mean. His lightsaber attack generally makes hitting the bats a lot easier, even though I took care of that son of a bitch, no problem. I guess I'm just that badass, I guess. I don't know. You guys that badass? Well, probably, you know, you could probably line yourself up to take care of that shot relatively easy. But, you know, why don't you just let me have my victories when I get them, guys? Jeez. Well, okay, well that was odd. Anyway, back on topic, yeah, as long as you're careful and you take care of the bullshit man's double jump, you should be able to get through that section, no problem. Although, you're probably going to want to take care of that bat before you jump into that death's chamber. Well, I don't know why I call it a death chamber, but before you go into that next obstacle course, turn into Mike, wait for the bat to come to you, kill that motherfucker. Although, you're going to want to make sure that you actually are mapped before you do it, because otherwise, you know, you'll probably get hit, and that would be bad. And again, this is one of those situations where if you want to stay in the safe spot there, you are going to have to duck before you reach him. And, fuck. Stupid ghosts. You know, how can ghosts hurt you if they just pass through you? You know, I never got that. It's like, oh, if you touch a ghost, the ghost doesn't get hurt, but if the ghost touches you, oh, you take damage. It's just backwards. Game, I refuse your logic. Your logic is bullshit. You know, I actually didn't mean to time up the... Never mind. Anyway, this next section isn't too bad, although you are going to want to take care of that zombie. Although if you strafe back and forth like that, like I just did, you probably should be alright. Now, another thing is that if you use Mike Matei there, you'll reveal some hidden blocks, but I don't know exactly where they lead to because, you know, I couldn't really follow them all that well, and I just wanted to go back to the rest of the level. Off screen, I actually did purposely get a game over because I had like half of my lives left at this point when I got to Boo Haunted House, and some levels do actually require you to use like 15 or 20 of your lives in order to get through. So sometimes it's just a better idea to, instead of wasting time getting through a level and getting a game over anyway, to just go to the start of a level, run yourself into an instant death trap or something, a whole bunch, in order to reset and get a whole 30 lives back. Now, if you're playing on old school mode with continues, you're definitely not going to want to do this. But however, I assume that if you're playing on old school mode, you're good enough to the point where you don't really need to take advantage of that strategy anyway, so, But it's just an option if you so need that option, you know. Sometimes I need it, sometimes I don't. But in this case, I did need it, because Boo Haunted House, while not the hardest level in the game, can, at points, drain your lives, so you're just going to want to keep that in mind. Now, this is the last section before the boss right here, this Super Mario World-styled block traveling puzzle. And this area can be a little bit annoying, not because you're ever really in danger of falling off of the track. No, the track itself is relatively easy to dodge. It's that it's very easy to get hit 3 times to those ghosts there, because there's, pretty sure there's 3 ghosts on the path here, and several of them you're in their attack radius for a good amount of time, especially this third one right here. So basically, if you get hit by each ghost once, you've basically died right there. So you just got to make sure to keep an eye on where they are in their circle and watch them. You know, also collapsing blocks right there is bullshit. Oh no, Bimmy's coming! Yeah, so here we're fighting not Freddy and not Jason, which is a hilarious reference to Nightmare on Elm Street, and also Double Dragon 3, I think they misspelled their names too. So again, I love the references that this game throws at you. So anyway, this boss is somewhat special in that both of these guys have half of the health bar. So you're going to want to take out both of them at the same time. Now, you could concentrate all of your fire on either Bimmy, who is Freddy, or Jimmy, who is Jason. The problem is that as soon as you kill one of these guys, like as soon as you knock down Jimmy, Bimmy gets super fast. Or as soon as you knock down Bimmy, Jimmy gets super fast. So really what you're going to want to do is try to take down both of them at the same time, you know. Take a few shots to Jimmy, take a few shots to Bimmy, you know. At one point, one of them will die. Like here, we see Jimmy now got super fast when I killed Bimmy. So if he has an already low health bar by that point, you can just sort of take advantage of any health you have left and bum rush with invincibility frames. Otherwise, you know, that's a somewhat annoying boss, but it's not really too bad in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, next time we are going to be going to Assholevania. I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.